never came home, we salute you.
For living our lives and will never be forgotten.
Absolutely forget. Never forget.
Fill the teeth and hold the tongue. Watch out, Stone.
A buddy of mine in Georgia had the first reunion, and his wife wasn't in good health, and he didn't want to have it anymore, so I've been having it ever since. These guys is just something else. You wouldn't believe what a close organization this is.
Most of us, I think it's obvious by how we conduct ourselves in the reunions, that we enjoy each other, or enjoy each other's company, and you find that the people that you really counted on 40 years ago are the same people that they are today, the way they were back then, and very strong characters. They were very reliable.
First Cav is just a big family. It's really good. You know, everybody's sociable and friendly and nice and helpful. And I couldn't ask for nothing better. It's good therapy.
Well, the reunion for me has been a big part of a healing process. You know, I'm suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. Whenever we get together and whenever we see each other, we just pick up from the last time. That's how special it is. And I just love to, you know, be around the guys that you can actually relate to.
These men have been there, did that. When you talk to them, they know exactly what you're talking about. And with a lot of other people, they empathize with us and have a wonderful empathy and can understand and try to understand. But it's nothing like being with the guys that you've been there with.
I love it. I love it. The best thing that happened to me was have these reunions.
Melissa and I heading out together, and she's going to be documenting this trip, and I'm really excited about it, and I think she is too. I never did think that I would ever have to go to war. I thought the war after World War II, that wars would be over. It's not really what you had planned for your life when you were growing up.
Growing up playing football and baseball and going to high school and going to your prom and, you know, apple pie and Chevrolet, there's nothing that prepares you for that.
You thought about home, you thought stuff that was going on, you thought about the life that you put on hold. Most of my friends they had good jobs, they were making money, they were getting settled in life, they had a wife, they had children, and I had put my life in hold for 3 years. And I think that was the hardest about being in the Army and everything, you know, especially at that time. That it's not like everybody was going. It's like I got picked out to go, and the rest of them could sit home and carry on with their life. But once they did draft me, I didn't try not to go. I looked at getting away and doing that, and being in charge of some men, bringing out the responsibility of doing that would help me, and I really think it did. Now I can know for the rest of my life that I served and I did my part.
Most of us were young, but when we came home, we were old. People didn't see and do the things that we've done at that age. So you see life in a different way.
Men I fought with were boys. A lot of us weren't even 21 at the time. We became a band of brothers, as they say. We weren't really fighting for mom and apple pie. We were fighting for one another. And we were looking out for each other's back. We lived, slept, ate, drank, slept, fought together. And we were looking out for each other. We're brothers. We still are. These guys are all my blood brothers.
First Cavalry Division, that was one unit I sort of hated to think about going to, because they were always in the middle of the action, and you read about them, and everything that was going on in the war was revolved around the First Cavalry Division, seemingly. They sent me out to a place called Quanaloy, which was where my battalion was operating out of. I got assigned to Charlie Company. I go in and I meet a lieutenant who had been out in the field and who had come back, and he was in charge of the office, and he outfitted me for where I was going. His name was John Guillory. We're still friends now. Didn't know him for a long time until we started going back to reunions. The platoon I would eventually be assigned to, we would get reports back about this big firefight they were in, and people were wounded, and the lieutenant who was there ahead of me was wounded. And I remember John telling me that no lieutenant had made it through and come back out in 2 years. I said, oh, that makes me feel good. I still had in my mind when I went to Vietnam that we were there to win it. I tried to do everything I could to do that. I wanted to be loose, keep us loose, keep us going good, but at the same time I wanted enough discipline that if I did tell somebody to do something, they knew I was serious about doing it.
And I was with the glorious 1st Cavalry Division, 1967-68, Vietnam. I became a platoon sergeant. I was 20 years old, in charge of 42 men in a line infantry platoon. We grew up fast, real fast. And everybody was scared to death, anybody more than me, but I put on the airs and told those guys we're all going home. And we did. And most of us anyway. We weren't there for much of anything else except we were supposed to be there to help America, and we did, and but most of all it was for each other. And we're not heroes. There wasn't a man in this room that was a hero. None of us were heroes. The only heroes that we have were in the cemeteries, and they gave it all.
Well, I got 2 Bronze Stars, Purple Heart, CIB badge, and the other badges. The wound I got in Vietnam, there were 17 of us hit at that time. We were medevaced out. Some were dead, some were alive. I went AWOL for 10 days, coming back, because I didn't want to go back into the jungle. And I tried to leave Vietnam with a ship or an airplane or something. So I was on Cam Bay watching the jets take off every minute for a while, me and another guy, Air Force guy, and we was wondering how we could swim to that ship to get the hell off this country. It didn't work out, so I went back to our unit, and the first sergeant said, well, you ready to go back in? I said, yes, sir. So I went back in the field. At times I wonder, what are we over there for? I could never quite figure that out.
We had a lot of problems with coming home. A lot of people didn't understand because they'd never been there and never did it. We had a tough time after that, a lot of Vietnam veterans, and thank God we're embracing our veterans now that are coming home.
When I came back from Vietnam, when I got to Washington, they made me change uniforms because they didn't want us to walk down the street when the uniforms on, because people hated us. Call us baby killers and all of that. And I witnessed all that firsthand. Well, all these guys did. So quick as we came back from Vietnam, they made us change in civilian clothes. They wouldn't let us leave out unless we had civilian clothes on.
The only thing I remember is finally getting home and seeing my mother and daddy sitting there waiting on me. Mother already tried to get me a job down in Valdosta. She wanted me to keep me close to home and wasn't ready to just come back and stop. So I told her I was going to Atlanta. I wasn't around anybody who knew that I'd even been to Vietnam. Hardly ever mentioned anybody that that's what I'd been doing for the last 3 years. People talking about something wrong with everybody who'd been over there. They were all druggies and addicts. I think at the time, a lot of that had to do with the media. They were so against the war that they glorified any problem that anybody had. Nobody ever heard about the good things that were done, or the heroics that people did, sacrifices they made. It was all about bad stuff, just like it is today about things. Ever since then, I've tried to not worry about things that I can't change, and look on the bright side. And life is too short.
I don't think anybody really wants to hear our story. That's my honest opinion. Other than, you know, our families, and we never talked. I never talked to my wife much about it. All my children growing up. You know, I thought I was a pretty good dad, but I had some issues I had to deal with, and I didn't know who to talk to about it. And when I first come out of the service back in '69, I went down to the VA and tried to get, you know, a little bit of help, and they kind of made me feel like I was getting something for nothing. I don't know. I got a bad taste, and I left. At that point, I said, you know, I don't need it. You know, I'm okay. I was saying that to myself. I was okay, but people that knew me, including my wife and my children, always knew I had issues. And one time, I was back in '95. I injured my back at work, and a couple of buddies of mine that had been trying to get me down to the VA knew that I wasn't working anymore, so I couldn't make up any excuses. And they said, "We know you're not working. We're going to get you down to the VA." And I went, you know, reluctantly, afraid, not knowing what to expect. And it worked out well. I was able to empty out. I found a doctor that I trusted, that was not a Vietnam veteran or a veteran at all. All these things, they bottled up inside of you. And we're not crazy or anything. We just became old before our time. I was 20 years old. When I came home, I couldn't reconnect with my friends. And the only people that really wanted me home was my family. Everybody else, like Vietnam, you know. So, things are good. You know, I still go to therapy, and I'm not going to hide that. And I'm not ashamed of it. I'm proud of it. I can walk with my head up high and feel good.
I came home with PTSD, Agent Orange, jungle rot on my hands and feet. I had loneliness and emptiness inside of me, and I felt isolated. I was isolated. I had a hard time finding work. I tried college for a year, went to engineering school for a year, and dropped out. Physically, I'm good. Mentally, it's not there all the time. Can't put things together. Like I ran out to the car 3 times now just to remember to bring all my things. My family was real close with me. They gave me a reunion when I got back and all that. But I still have these isolated problems today yet. At times, I just don't seem like a socialize. Hard to socialize. And my wife is good at therapy too. And I've been married one time for 43 years and come August. So I've been very lucky, I think.
You know, my goal after I got out of school was, you know, get a degree, go to work, get married, you know, and have family and all that. It took me a long time after I got back to get married. It was 10 years plus, actually. And commitment was hard, really, really hard. You kind of didn't want to let yourself open up because you felt there was a lot of pain there and you didn't want to share it with anybody. So a lot of guys got married right away and had kids, and a lot of them didn't. And unfortunately, the part that hurts the most is the ones that didn't get past their 30th birthday or maybe their 35th birthday. So many of them took their own lives because they couldn't deal with the pain. A lot of us went on to be successful. You know, I got a degree in engineering. I'm a licensed engineer. I had a good career, a wonderful woman to marry, 40 years now. And I can say my life's really doing well. I mean, I in that sense, but all these men will tell you Vietnam's only just heartbeat away. Something will see American flag, a service patch, anything like that, and it just all comes back in a flood.
It was a surprise this morning when the motorcycle riders showed up and were going to escort us to this reunion.
I got the VFW out of Hot Springs, and they came together with all the guys and get the Harleys together and everything, and got the sheriff's office in Caddo Valley to escort them out to Oak Bowers.
Ever since he was 8 weeks old, I had him in my jacket, and it got too hot for my jacket, so I built that box for him. He's been riding here ever since. And even got elastic bands around him. When it gets real hot out, I put ice packs in there. He's got an air conditioner better than me. That right, big boy?
You look good. Let me get your picture here. Oh, I know. All right. Mama. Hey. Hey.
I'm with the Patriot Guard. It's an honor for us to do it. An honor for us to do the funerals. An honor for us to. They didn't get a very good welcome. They came back to America. They're getting one now.
On the way here, which is about a 10-mile ride, we encountered people along the way on the side of the road. They stopped and gave, I thought, credence to us going by. We were waving our flags and celebrating the fact that we're having this reunion, and I thought it was nice for onlookers to seem to enjoy it.
Today we start the official get-together as far as the reunion goes. We've got flags flying, we've got sheriff's deputies leading the way, and it's very impressive. These people do a great job.
Come on.
Bravo 16, be advised, medevac, see smoke, coming in.
Chopper Bird, that's a copy, 001, marker smoke, 201.
When you stand by the wall, stand tall. It's a shame that they had to fall. Let's not forget the challenge was there. When you stand by the wall, stand tall. And may we never forget the American soldiers, for they gave their lives for freedom.
Probably the most important thing about a reunion is the turnout, to get people coming, especially the people who've never come before. Because the first time people, you're just happy that they are enjoying an experience that you've had over and over again, and that you look forward to, and you hope that they'll have the same experience and look forward to coming to another reunion as well. Yeah, these are great events, and it's for me and my wife, so we really enjoy attending and seeing each other, every few years, and it's always just a very uplifting feeling. I usually had a list, if I was looking for somebody named Urso or Jones or Smith or whatever, I'd get that listing and just cold call each person until I hit pay dirt, hit the right person. I would call somebody and ask them, "Are you a Vietnam veteran?" And they'd say, "Yes, I am," and be very excited. And then ask them, "Did you serve in the 1st Cav?" And they go, "Oh, no, I didn't." And you can hear kind of a drop, and then you can hear the disappointment in their voice that they were waiting for a call, but this just wasn't the right call. So
when John Guillory got a hold of me out of the clear blue sky, and he said, "We're going to have a reunion down in Georgia," and I said, "I'm in." So I went to that one, and I've been to several more since then, and I will come to them as long as I can, because it's great to see the guys. We're all in the same boat. We have to think about the past, even though we don't want to. Some of it's good, some of it's bad. But life goes on, and we just have to share it with each other. That's the only way we can cope, I think.
My first one was in Georgia at Snuffy's place, probably 9 years ago outside of Atlanta. And to be honest, that was the first anything I did. So something like 38 years from the time I left Vietnam. And I got to give all the credit to that to my wife. I just couldn't go to Memorial Day, Veterans Day. I couldn't do any of that. There was an ad in the paper for the traveling wall, for the moving wall. And my wife said, "I think you need to go." And I had been to the VA before that once, and it wasn't a very happy occurrence, and so I never went back. Back then they really didn't know what they were doing, and so I can't really fault them in that sense. But anyway, so we decided that I'd go to the moving wall, and like a lot of vets, first time, I went at 11 o'clock at night. She said, "Well, why don't you go in the daytime?" And I said, "Well, I don't feel good about that, but maybe if I go at 11, there won't be so many people there." Another indication things weren't so good. And when I got there, there was a lot of people there. It opened the flood tide. And then the guys, many of them are here today that I served with in 1st Platoon, had reunions before that, just smaller ones of their own. And they contacted me a couple of times, and I never even answered them. It's like I wasn't even there. Well, after the one in Atlanta, I've been going to them regularly and meeting up with men I hadn't seen since, well, at Atlanta, I hadn't seen Tex Marshall since the day I left over there. And he was the first man I was assigned to when I went in country. They always try and sign a new guy with an older guy or somebody that's got more experience. And he's about 5'8", something like that, and I'm a little over 6'2". I remember the first thing he said to me when I got off the helicopter and they signed me, he says, pardon my French, he said, "Where am I going to hide a big bastard like you?" And that's the first thing he said to me when I met him in Atlanta. And we've all been fast friends since. It's really good for a veteran, especially combat veteran. I don't know if I can keep doing this. To be with the people that he served with. And, you know, sometimes we sit around and joke about things, not so much about Vietnam, although that's part of it. It's now it's family, what you did, you know, what you did since, what your kids are doing, what the rest of the family's doing. So you become part of a bigger family as a result. Going to that moving wall was the thing for me that just changed everything. They'll all tell you the same story, that there was something that clicked, and something did it for them. It makes you feel good. It makes you feel like any guilt you had or any fears you had of being a survivor, you can put that past yourself. You can say, okay, that's what happened. I'm here now, and I'm here for those that didn't make it. And I think that's the big thing about coming to these sorts of things, is it reinforces the good part of our experience, the brotherhood of our experience.
Emil Ercolano, a friend of mine that I served with, said he was trying to get a hold of me for about 40 years, and finally got a hold of me through the VA, and told me about he got a hold of me in February and says, in May we're having a reunion if you'd like to come. I said, sure. I said, I didn't realize any of this was happening. And, he talked to me about the VA and how the VA is helping people now. So I says, okay. I said, I'm going to be at the reunion for sure. And once we got here, and he talked to me a little bit about some of the benefits I can receive and then some of the problems I was having and how I can get help for them. And we ended up, I loved the reunion, seeing some of the guys after 40 years. I didn't recognize them, but they seemed to recognize me because I was short. So that's about it. And then I've been coming every 2 years. After coming to the first reunion, Emil, Lefty, talked me into going to the VA, getting involved with the Vietnam groups at the VA, and that helps tremendously. I go once a week, every week, to a group session, and then we have one-on-one counseling sessions, but the biggest help is the group sessions where you're talking with other Vietnam veterans that went through the same thing, that understand, and that you can talk to without feeling prejudiced against for one opinion or another. My daughter Lisa, my daughter Susan, they've been my biggest supporters.
Our dad is the best. Yes, he's our hero. We have had a blast meeting everybody that we used to see in the pictures and hearing the stories from my dad, and got to hear some of the stories from the other side.
I'm glad and thankful to be his daughter and to share this with him.
I can't emphasize enough the comfort I feel being with these guys and knowing that they understand me and I understand them. And my daughters being here, seeing that and bringing them to understand, not that they didn't understand before, but to learn more and to understand about veterans altogether, both combat vets and non-combat vets, and how important it is for this country.
This is a company guide on it. It was property of Jimmy Brown for the last few years. I just want to present this to a person who was a fantastic, dedicated RTO in Vietnam. He helped organize the first platoon, and that should go to The guidon is very important because the guidon is sort of the identity of the unit. There's a great deal of respect and to cherish and protect the guidon. So it's a symbol of who you are. It says that you've done something that's not significant, but something that's supportive of the reunion and of the gathering of all the guys. So
It's an honor and a pleasure, of course, and hope to bring it back to many more reunions. I want to thank the Brown family once again. It's been an absolute place of honor on my mantelpiece, but I'll make sure it makes it back here every chance we get.
Going this time was exceeding my expectations of what I thought it would be like. The fraternity I was in Unbroken, Georgia had a reunion, and they honored all of the veterans who had been to Vietnam and come back, and it was a very moving thing. They honored the family of Joe Lashley, and they saw on the table in front of the podium. This is the letter that his niece wrote. Joe Lashley would be the last of the fraternity, would be the only Civitai who died in Vietnam. Indeed, not even death can take away the bond of hope. That's it. The whole thing just brought back some good memories of doing it. Mostly a advantage of how close we all were at that time in our lives. I think I rekindled some old friendships that I hadn't seen for a long time, and I found out that some of them have problems. I think some of them still need somebody to talk to, and the more of us that stay in touch with each other, I think that the more we'll help the people who really need it. And I plan on trying to contact some of them again and try to stay better friends now. I enjoyed reliving the experiences, not so much as what happened, but who we were with at the time and what we meant to each other then. And it was part of your life that you just never forget. And some things you may put on the back burner and don't ever think about anymore, but when you get with a group like that, all of those times can be brought back up, and it really means a lot to go back and reminisce with people who are such a part of your life. And it's therapy for everybody that goes. And I wish that everybody could see the bond that all these people still have for each other.
Thank you, and thanks all you guys for serving, because when I come to these, I feel like I'm in the I know, and I feel it, I'm in the presence of heroes. Men, women, daughters, sons, everybody who's related to this family of Charlie Company. I feel honored to be here because you're truly heroes. And I salute you.
I'm so glad that from our bad coming home experience, which was universally bad, I think, for everybody. I know it certainly was for me and all the men I talked to. That the country has learned that you may not like the war, you may not want to support that, you may not want to say anything good about the government in that respect, but at least when the troopers come home, be there for them, which they didn't do for us. So I hope we had something to contribute to make that happen. That, to me, really important.
In hindsight, with the guys that I know and the guys that served and fought alongside of, I'd do it again in a heartbeat.